Um, well, I think people should definitely be cognizant of the words they use and how they say things, because some people definitely get offended by the things people say, whether it's for historical reasons, like towards culture, or whether it's for personal reasons, towards personal internal conflicts. I definitely think it's important that people be mindful of what they say and how they say it.
Okay, so I think that if you're meeting somebody for the first time, you need to watch what you say. You should be professional about it. And as well as if you're in a professional situation like a job or an interview. And if you're around your friends or people you've known your whole life, like your family, it's a little different. You can kind of say what you want. It's a little more leeway.
Depending on the situation, I think words can mean different things. Depending on the people, depending on the situation, you never know what's going to offend someone.
Alright, well, I feel like there's certain words in society that you just should not use ever. There's some words that you can use within your friend groups, and because they're friends, it's a mutual thing. They understand that you're not trying to be mean, you're just messing around. But if you take the same word and say it to somebody you meet somewhere and they don't know you, obviously it was derogatory towards race or sexual orientation, then yes. Or if somebody's religious and you swear, that could be bad also. But for the most part, you should just know who you're talking to, and then you know what vocabulary to use with those certain people.
Alright, well, first of all, I'm going to start by saying that this is really vague, but words can mean anything to different people. Like, one word can mean something to someone, but someone else can take it a different way, which can be offensive to them. So it's all about the context situation. Depending on what situation you're in, you have to realize and think that, well, maybe since this guy has this orientation or is this way, if I say this word, he might take offense to it. So it just all comes down to the situation.
I think that society might be too sensitive with words, that like some specific words, and that depending on who they're talking to, that you should censor specific things.
I feel people use words too freely sometimes. They use just whatever comes to their mind and they say it, no matter, like a lot of people cuss and don't think about it, just like comes off their tongue and they don't think about it. And like nowadays generation, it's a lot more common for people to just say things that are offensive and not think about it and just think it's cool, because I guess like nowadays people say things that weren't so what's the word for it, acceptable. Like back in the olden days, they just say it just freely, and you can tell with the older generation they don't like a lot of the way we talk nowadays.
Okay, I think the way that people words in society is all personal, because the way I could take what somebody says to me differently, because I don't take things very personally. Some people do. It depends on what it is and what setting, who it's by. Something my boyfriend could say to me would be perceived differently than something my mom would say to me or some stranger off the street would say to me. It's just all personal.
I don't mind discriminatory phrases or words as much as I do compliments, because I can put things behind me, such as slurs against me, but compliments stick with you.
Well, obviously, when people use positive comments and like compliments, and it has a positive effect on me. It makes my everyday better, and it makes me want to continue the path I'm on. Negative and quote-unquote nasty words, they just make me, I mean, definitely they get under my skin sometimes, but I feel like I'm pretty good at trying to avoid them letting get to my heart, but if it has my own personal reasons,
I feel like compliments will stick with you more than insults. Well, for me at least, because I really don't care if people have something bad to say to me, because it's their opinion, it doesn't really matter. But if someone says something good to me, I know they took the time to notice something and come out and say it to me, and I hold on to that longer than I would with a non-compliment saying.
So I feel like for when you get a compliment, it sticks with you less than if you get somebody says something mean to you. Like, for instance, like if they say you're fat, that sticks with you longer, like in a girl's perspective, than if somebody says, oh, you look nice today.
When people compliment and say, yo, I appreciate what you did for me, or that was a good thing you did, it means a lot more than when somebody calls me a douche or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I know they're just messing around, but when they don't mess around when they're trying to tell you good things, I guess you would say. When somebody's joking with you, they're just trying to be mean, but they're not actually trying to be mean. They're just using mean words.
I think people like to hear compliments more. A lot of people set themselves up for compliments because they like to hear it, but once it's said, they act like they don't believe it, or they just kind of play it off like the person's joking. So it's easier to hear those things, but it's harder to perceive them. And things that are negative against us, I think we take more to heart because it's not what we think about ourselves. When we actually hear it, people think, or I would think, like if I have big hips, that I need to do something about it because it's just how the world is.
Well, when it comes to words that I find offensive, obviously the first thing I would think of comes to my race, but growing up in this society, you kind of learn to shrug it off and don't really care, but obviously it still hits deep a little bit to an extent. But like I said, just easy to learn to live with it, just realize that people are ignorant and whatever they say is pretty much bullshit in a sense. So
I wear tight pants, and when people I don't know say, yo, emo faggot, it pisses me off. You know, I'm not emo, I'm a happy guy. I mean, emo music's cool sometimes, but I don't really listen to it. People just judge. See, that's the kind of word that stings. Ones that are judgmental words from people that don't know you.
That's true.
Words I don't like. I don't like it when people take the Lord's name in vain. Like they say, oh my God. I don't like that. And I don't like when people say the C word.
Any word specifically, I mean, if people like are over bashing like culture in general, then yeah, I get offended, but no specific words. We're just talking about the culture and the traditions.
The word that I don't really like being used around me would be the N-word, because just of the connotations that it has from years in past, and I still feel like it still has those connotations today. Just bad things are with that.
There are no words that offend me specifically.
Words that I find offensive are the R word, the R word, the B word. I just don't really like cuss words. They make me feel uncomfortable. There are certain words that I just don't like to hear. I don't like to hear people say God before things that are like, gosh dang it, only with God in front of that. I don't like that. Or like, oh my God, that, unless you're praying.
I think one word that bugs me, although I use it often, is the word retard. I have a family member that's mentally handicapped, but I still use the word, and I need to stop it. That's about it.